An area of growth for our young people is developing their own sense of autonomy. And as John and I were talking about this program, John had a great idea of looking at some concepts that came from motivational interviewing, which is kind of these stages of change, which was kind of developed more for people just struggling with substance abuse. But it had been shown in research that these same 5 steps of helping to motivate someone, helping them to overcome limitations and concerns, could also be applied to autism. As we kind of started thinking about that, we started saying, oh, there's some beauty to this. And some other theoretical frameworks that John had worked with in recreation therapy had taught him how it's really important that we change with the client that we're working with, which makes sense. I'm sure all of you hate when a boss treats you exactly the same way, regardless of how much growth you've shown. So if they're still kind of hand-holding you when you've shown your own sense of independence, that's going to annoy you. And so making sure that our staff understand these things, our therapists, our teachers, our coaches, understand that we need to adapt and change and grow as our students adapt and change and grow, is something really important to us. So we created what we call the Autonomy Development Model. Again, John originated this. He was kind enough to allow me to kind of augment and support its growth. But what you can see here is that we start to develop a sense of first being aware of what they're going through, targeting what it is that they want to work on, implementing that and overcoming barriers, refining that to kind of get it down so you're using it really well, all the way up to fluent. Fluent is something that's really important for me. In teaching and learning, what we found is that all these complicated ideas and growth need to be kind of looked at as a complicated language, specifically, especially with social emotional interactions. The social emotional world is a complex language. And so we need to teach it the same way you'd want to teach a language so that someone becomes fluent in it. And that means that they're able to generalize at different places and settings, and they feel very comfortable in using it. And so whatever it is, these are the 5 steps that we work on here. Autonomous, I've always spelled this wrong, but we've corrected that. Autonomous is once they take that step beyond us, that they're actually continuing to show outside of our program that ability to generalize and be independent. So this one's here just to always make sure that we're aspirationally working towards this final step. But then what you see is with each stage, when we're in the awareness and the targeting phase, we're doing a lot of hand-over-hand work. We call that being a coach. So when you're being a coach, you're trying to teach everyone the plays, you're hand-over-hand learning and educating these kids. As they begin implementing and refining what they've learned, we need to start kind of being a mentor, walking beside them as they're growing and engaging. And then as they become fluent and hopefully subsequently autonomous, we need to be a guide. And we're kind of advocating, supporting, and encouraging these people as they're going through their growth process. This is essential to who we are and what we do, and it's something that we teach our staff all the time. Another thing that's kind of important is we've used those same 5 categories: awareness, targeting, implementing, refining, and fluent, as also a categorical way of measuring growth. And so for our students, when we're working on some specific things like specific treatment plan goals, or even when in the academic field, if we're looking at IEP goals, we try to measure it on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 is there's 0 to 20% of completing, understanding, or implementing this goal that we're working on. Number 2, which is called targeting, at level 2 is 20 to 40%. Then 3 is 40 to 60%, 60 to 80%, 80 to 100% is lined up with fluency. And so that's a really clear way of measuring their growth. And also that's really good for school districts and other institutions to kind of see what they've gained from our program and what they're learning as they're working on their specific goals.